Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sunday Stamping with Susan and Julie. My name is Susan LaCroix, and this is my absolutely stunning daughter, Julie. We've
Aw.
been illustrators for 20 years, going on our 21st year, and we live a couple states apart. We don't get together to stamp together very often, so we decided, well, Julie figured it out that this would be a nice thing to do to stamp together, and then we could share it projects with you. So that's kind of what we're doing. So, Julie, how was your week?
It was good. It was a busy week. It's always a busy week.
Always.
The kids just have so much going on with archery and band, and both middle school girls are have been cast in the school musical, and so they have rehearsals. I'm going to
Oh,
say almost every day, it feels like. They're doing Matilda Jr., and Anna was cast as Matilda.
that's
Oh my gosh.
exciting.
We
I'm
are
so
just
excited.
so excited about this. The girls have both enjoyed theater, and Elise was cast as Big Kid 3, so she has a solo line as well. So we're just so excited. They work so far in advance, and so the musical isn't until the first weekend in May, which is good because Anna's feeling really overwhelmed right now with all the lines and the music. I know that as she keeps practicing, like it's all going to come together and it's going to be great. But yeah, it's just been one of those weeks. We've had those rehearsals. Claire had a band thing going on, and so she had extra rehearsal for jazz band every day this week.
Oh,
And then the show was on Saturday. Archery, like it's always nonstop at our house. How
well,
about you? Did you guys have a good week?
we did. Busy, of course, not as busy as you, but just trying to get things together and make our plans for England, which we've got to get that done. We're creeping closer. Yeah. So I was just gonna say Anna and Elise and Claire all have a
Mhm.
great stage presence. We always
Yes.
enjoy coming in and watching Claire. So to come in and see both girls again, we did it last year and just I loved the show. They were all so good. So we're really looking forward to that. So I have a question for you. With all the busyness of your week, how did you squeeze in Valentine's Day?
Valentine's Day for us has always been about the kids. Like
Yeah.
Jim and I celebrate in small ways, but Valentine's Day, like as a day and as a celebration, has always been about the kids. So
Yeah.
we start with little boxes of chocolate in the morning, left out on the breakfast table, just like you guys used to do for us. And usually we have heart-shaped pizza, or some kind of special. I guess in the past we've done other things and just like used a cookie cutter to make it heart shaped or something like that. So we'll have a fun dinner. We always try to eat together as much as we can as a family. Sometimes it's a little busy, a little different, and the kids are running to activities. But we
Yeah.
had a great Valentine's Day, a great celebration, and the kids loved the little treats that you sent. Thank you
I'm
so
so
much
glad.
for
It
that.
wasn't
So
much,
it's
just
just
a little something.
exactly. It's just all about celebrating love in little
Yeah.
simple ways. How about you and Dad? Did you guys go to dinner?
No, we just stayed at home, watched a movie, and it's fine. We're not big out on
Yeah.
holidays people. The restaurants are crowded and you have to wait.
Yes.
And it's like, meh, I'll stay home and have a hot
Exactly. I
dog.
always told Jim, you could skip buying me flowers on Valentine's Day and use the same money to buy me flowers like three other times. Like the way
Yeah,
they inflate prices is
exactly.
crazy. So,
That is
yeah.
crazy. But yeah, anyway. Well,
Oh,
we should um let these folks know what we're doing, right? Are
yes,
you
I'm
ready to
really
share?
excited about this suite that we're going to showcase today. So I'm going to change the camera over to my desktop. We are in the mini catalog. So this is the January through April 2023 Stampin' Up! Mini catalog. Going to get you an extra light there so you guys can see. So we're on page 22 and 23, and this is the By the Bay suite. I just love anything that has to do with like ocean and sea and water. And it is my dream one day to retire and live near a lake or something like that. Crazy, I'm dreaming about retirement already. We still have a ways to go, but I always love these sweets, and I think I just am drawn to the colors too. And so there's some beautiful designer paper. The designer paper in this suite is 6 by 6. And so you get 12 different patterns. And this is a specialty paper, and it has two different kinds of specialty coating. So you have the gold foil, which you see like in some of these patterns here on top, and then you also have some, what are they calling it? Pearl foil. And so that's what this is. So it's sort of like a shiny, iridescent, I guess pearl is the right word for it. So
Yeah.
it's so cool to have these specialty coatings and these papers that just sort of glimmer, just like seashells, and just like water and ocean. I just think this is just so beautiful. So you've got 12 different patterns. Some of the patterns are the same and they just offer like different color variations on them, but each one has some kind of specialty coating. And then the other side we have, and I think actually that some of these are my favorite patterns, the ones that don't have the specialty coatings. The beautiful colors in here are Balmy Blue, Coastal Cabana, Petal Pink, Night of Navy, and then Gold and Pearl. Um, just, I just love it. Like that just makes me so happy. And the seashells, this suite goes really beautifully with the Friends Are Like Seashells stamp set and coordinating hybrid dies in the annual catalog. I think you can really mix and match with these two stamp sets. The style of the artwork is very similar. This is a clean mount rubber stamp set, so you've got rubber stamps. It has coordinating dies, and so many of the dies cut out shapes in the stamp set, but then you also have some detailed dies like the seagrass, the shells, and then like a little sort of, I guess, like a sand kind of border there. And then there's some more things. We've got the balmy blue and white variegated ribbon. And so you can see we sort of have that darker color on the bottom, and it kind of is white then towards the other end. Really soft ribbon. I love the size of this too. It is 1/2 inch. And then the last thing we've got is the flat adhesive backed pearls. And these are really shiny and pearlescent. Not too big. They do have a little depth to them, but they're not dome, not like rounded at the top. They're kind of flat, but they're still probably going to require a little non-machinable postage just because they're a little bit bulky. So let me show you some of the cards that I've made. I'm going to start with a swap card. This one is from Marnie Stahl, and she used one of those flat adhesive backed pearls inside the stamped oyster there. And then I have to open up this card that I made because I used the detailed die cut of the shell, and I added some of the gilded leafing that we have. And then on the inside, I added the little pearl. Here's where I brought in the seashell embossing folder from the annual catalog and some gold foil for the detailed die cut seashells. And I have to remind you that the essential tag punch that I used on this card is one of the extra freebies that you can choose during Sale-a-Bration. It's one of the new options that they added in February. So that is such a versatile punch if you don't have that one yet. Here's another card where I used the same embossing folder in white, and I stamped the birds and then die cut this bird. And then here's another one where I die cut from the designer paper. I love that some of the images in the paper can be die cut. There's one that has the birds and the crabs, this one. And you can die cut right from that sheet to use on the card. So I picked up a little gold and I used petal pink, one of my favorite colors. I love this suite. What do you think, Mom? Is it one of your favorites too?
Oh my gosh. When I got it out, because this is the first time I've used it. And
Oh,
I spread out all the paper and hit the stamps and the dies there, and I just kind of meditated over it. I'm a Cancer, I'm a water sign. So
me too.
I find my peace being near the water. We live near the Detroit River. So
Yes.
sometimes Dad and I go over to the American Legion Post, which is right on the water, and we'll have lunch. And so I can just gaze out at the water. And so yeah, that's my that's my happy place.
Yes, me too. Well, let's switch the camera around and you can
All right.
share the project that you've prepared for us.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do my samples first. So this one is from Rayanne Luttrell, and she used some of the paper as a background, and then she die cut some of the seagrass and our little bird with heartfelt sympathy. Very simple, but you want a sympathy card to be simple.
Yeah.
So I like this in terms of that being the case. Then I was playing. I love making scenes, as you're going to see when I demonstrate my project. So this one,
Oh, I love it.
I know that there's a die cut for this, but I wanted kind of a wider piece. And so again, I used some of the designer series paper to do the seagrass, and some of the remnants I had from like the wood grained piece of paper. I made kind of a pylon and perched our bird on it. And I brought out some of the faux sea glass. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, yes.
And threw that out around. Reminiscent of when you guys used to love to collect sea glass.
I love that.
Yep. So heartfelt sympathy. Again, I didn't want a big glaring thing. And then on the inside, I had another piece of the seagrass die cut. So I just did that for the inside. So for my project today, I really did very little stamping, as you will see, but I brought out some of the designer series paper. Our paper's been so gorgeous, and it's great to work with it in terms of die cutting. And so I used several sheets of it, and this one, and I didn't bring out the whole sheet because I wanted you to see that this is great for cutting out some of that seagrass. I'm not sure.
Oh, yes.
I'm not sure what yet. So so that's where I got the seagrass from on my projects. And what I did for the birds is for my projects, I die cut out the birds from this piece. So I'm saving this so I can use those for a project as well. And then I brought this out, which I cut into a 4.5 by 3.25 piece. So it's actually this corner. And of course, I'm saving the sky and other things. Oops, I would help if I did it this way, wouldn't it? So 4.5 by 3.25 for this. And I'll show you this piece in a minute. My inside piece is 5 inches by 3 3/4. And then my card base is 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4.25. And as always, we will put our measurements in the description of this video. So I wanted to create a scene with this, and I was inspired by here, let me see if I can find that project real quick. I didn't case it exactly. Julie, do you remember what page it's on? I should have had it right. Here we go. Never mind. I found
Page
it.
22.
Thank you. So I was inspired by this project with the frame. So, and they created the scene, underwater with the oyster. So I didn't do that project. So what I did is I brought out, I used the stitched rectangle on my sample, but I wondered what the deckled edge would look like. So I made a frame with the deckled edge. I don't know where my other little here, this inside piece. So I just did that. I'll use this for another project. And then the pylon of my sample card, I took from the remnant of the piece as well. All right, so I have my frame all ready to go. And I'm actually doing this in a landscape version. And what I did was I took some of our adhesive strips and went ahead and put that around the edge here. So I'm going to put my inside piece. Oh, the other thing I did was here are my seagrasses and my bird. So we'll see how we fit these pieces into our frame here. All right. So I'm going to take this off. And here are DSP with the scene, the water scene on it. On my sample, I just used dimensionals, and I really wanted a little bit more for this. So let me get this out of the way. And I just go ahead and lay this on here like so. So there we have our framed piece. And we're going to put our bird on here like so.
I am loving this. I was looking at that designer paper piece that you're using for the background and feeling kind of stumped. Like I wasn't sure how to build around it. And this is just awesome.
Thank you. I love building scenes. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. And I didn't use the adhesive back sheets. I wasn't quite sure how I was gonna put this on here. So I'm gonna just put a little bit of glue. Oh, I did look at this. What is going on? Man, oh man, that's way too much. That ever happened to you with liquid glue? All of a sudden it comes out way too heavy.
Oh yeah. That's
dry
partly why I don't use it as much because I always make such a mess and then I get all sticky.
Oh well.
I know it's me and not the glue. I'm not blaming the glue, but I'm just a messy, a messy gluer.
All right, so this guy, we're gonna just have him kind of want him or her, I don't know. Okay. Put a little bit, not a lot. This still is my favorite glue. Okay. And then we want another piece. And I'm just fine with having this kind of come over the edge of the frame. So that's what I'm going to do. And now after I said I was going to do it, then I didn't, right? This really is a really simple card to put together. And I did not put a greeting on the front of this because you could use it for just about anything. And so rather than kind of lock myself into a particular thing. All right, so I might have to add, yeah, some seal. It's so hard because I love the other side of this paper too. And so it's really kills me to have to not use it, but so we're gonna just put this here.
Scoot it up just a little bit, Mom. Oh, wow.
So it came together very easily. I don't know. I love doing scenes like this. For the inside, what I did, if I can stamp straight this morning, we'll see if it works. This is the front of my sample. So on the inside, see, it's kind of, you put dimensionals, you get kind of that wavy look. I wanted a very smooth look. And then thank you for everything is on the inside, but you don't have to put anything in there. And I just stamped one of the little birds in the corner. So, but
bring that back in for a second. I have to say, I love that you chose the deckled rectangle dies. Like hold them up together because I think it makes such a difference. Like it looks so like worn and more, I don't know, like nautical.
Yes.
Scoot over to the left just a little bit so you can get them both in front. There you go. Oh my gosh, huge difference.
When I brought out both of these, I used the stitch rectangle because my original intent was to have this be a vertical card. Because of the scene, I thought, no, I want more of the scene to show. So I flipped it, and then my wood stripes are going the other way. Not that it matters all that much. So, but yes, then I thought, man, I think I want the deckled. So
good choice.
Yeah, so that's that. All right, so let me work on the inside. So I could put all three birds, but I just want one. And so I'm using this little guy at the end. I don't know if I'm in camera. little guy at the end to do in the corner. And then let's see if I can get this guy on straight. I'm going to regroup it here. I didn't do such a good job yesterday. It took me several tries. So I'm
Oh,
do that one. Ta-da! It worked. Awesome. And that really is the only stamping I've done on this card. As much as I love to stamp.
well, we have so many, I think versatile die cuts and beautiful designer paper that it really does a lot of the heavy lifting.
It really does. No, I'm not going to have it. You guys aren't going to cooperate today, huh? So we'll put this guy in here. There we go. And there is my project.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much.
Thank you. Are you ready to share yours?
I think so. I realized I realized as you were going that I didn't have my measurements down, so I was scrambling
Oh,
to do them all, and I had something I had to die cut, but I think I got it all ready to go. I'm really excited about this card. I wanted to do something kind of extraordinary with this suite. And so I'm doing a fun fold. I looked back at some of my older blog posts and I found this gatefold shutter card. And it's been a few years since I've made it. And I recently got a swap card from the Great Big Card Swap in which someone had made a card like this. And so it reminded me of this fun fold. So we're going to tackle that today. I'm going to show you step by step how to do it. But first, we're going to make the front, and the front is going to be pretty simple. I've got some designer paper here, 3 inches by 4 1/4, layered onto 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And so this is going to be on the front of the card, and I'm just going to put these together. In hindsight, I really should die cut something. Actually, you know what? You don't want to do that this time because of the gatefolds. Half of this front is going to be like hanging over the edge of the card. So you don't want to take advantage of that paper. And then I've got some elements here that I've pre-cut out, die cut using the detailed dies, balmy blue and mint macaron. I think it's coastal cabana, but I thought it was mint macaron and I like that mint, so I'm using it anyway. I also have a piece, I think it's 1 inch by 3 of some other designer paper. And then for the sentiment, a little 3/4 inch by 2 inch piece. And I only cut 2 just in case I mess up. Whenever I'm whenever I'm cutting, I always cut an extra. Because I don't know, if nothing else, it just gives me more confidence that I can mess up because there's another piece. I'm using the Night of Navy ink to stamp. Thank you for everything. And it's a little crooked. I'll try again. I like the second one better. Okay, so some simple layering here. I'm gonna add most of the elements on with the regular adhesive. I'm going to add the shell and kind of angle it. Actually, I think I'm going to use some liquid glue here on the grass. But before I do that, let's get some Stampin' Dimensionals on the greeting. And I have a very special embellishment that I'm using on this card. Over Christmas break, we went down to Florida and we went to Venice Beach. It was cold to swim, but we had fun collecting shells and we even got some shark teeth. And so I was in particular interested in the small ones. And so I brought them home and I put the little small ones in an extra embellishment container.
love it.
And aren't they just the cutest?
Wow.
I thought it
Julie.
would be fun to make like a shaker card. But I didn't end up going that direction. But look at how
Oh my
perfect that
gosh,
little
really?
shell is on there. Now, if you don't have your own little collection of shells, you could certainly use the iridescent pearls, like, one or two there in the corner, I think would be a nice way to finish off this card. But I'm gonna use a little shell. I also have some shark teeth that I found. But I'm not sure how I would use that in a card. That seems a little maybe out of place. I was excited when I found these shark teeth. The kids were all focused on the shells, and down there it's like the shark tooth capital, and so everyone on the beach has these like makeshift what do you call them, like
Like a fishing net kind of thing?
kind of like a screen, and so they're digging in, and they're going in the water and trying to clean them off and look for these shark teeth. And my kids were just so focused on the shells. We didn't have anything fancy like that, and so I was just taking scoops in my hand of like little shells and sand, and I found all these shark teeth just with my own hands. I didn't need any kind of special any kind of special screen. It was a lot of fun. And this designer paper I think is really perfect for
Oh,
scrapbooking a vacation like that one with all the imagery. I really should work on, like, if nothing else, like a memories and more kind of scrapbook. I got some memories and more cards for our last trip, and I never did anything with it. I'm embarrassed to admit.
oh,
Okay,
Julie, I love that.
thank you. I thought
That'd
this
be a
would be
perfect
cute just
card,
on a
just like
card as
you.
its own. What'd you say, Mom?
That would be perfect, just like that as a
I
card.
know. But we're gonna have a fancy inside. So our card base is a gatefold card. It is 5.5. There it is, by 8.5. Scored at 2 1/8 and 6 3/8. Although I love your tip, Mom. I had already scored it. I love your tip of only scoring the 2 1/8 and then bringing the other one over and using a bone folder to help get the right measurement, because sometimes when you pre-score, maybe the cardstock is not quite the right width, and so you might have like a gap or something in the middle. So if you're finding that, just scoring the 2 1/8 and then bringing the other one over and using your bone folder to get a good score is a good way to help with that issue. The other pieces for the inside that are going to be part of this gatefold card, the Sahara sand piece is 3 inches by 5.5. And then I have two of the sort of the panels that are going to the shutters, I guess, two that are 3 inches by 4 inches and scored at 3/8 inch from the top. And so for these, the shutter, and we call it a shutter card because it's kind of like a camera shutter, where like it has panels that open up and reveal the lens. And so here is the template. We're going to take and I used my ruler, and first I made a mark at 1.5 inch, which is half of 3. Okay. And then I turned and I made a mark at 2 inches, which is half of 4. So this is 4. So you're going in the middle here and then in the middle here. So 2 inches. And then I drew a line from the 2-inch mark to each corner. And I'm actually going to use this as my template to cut the other pieces of cardstock. And you can do this with a paper trimmer if you want. I like a good long bladed scissor for long cuts like these, but the paper snips are good too. So I'm just going to cut along the template to create a really deep banner. I'll make sure I get it straight here. You could measure and cut each piece, but then you have to use an eraser, and I'm lazy, so the template's fine.
It's a great idea. So is that cardstock? Your template, is that cardstock or cardboard?
It's just basic white cardstock, but if you wanted to have it be sturdy and really, keep it in your stash of templates and card making supplies, I would use the white cardboard like you were just saying from the back of the designer paper. Okay, so I'm going to use some tear and tape at the top of both of these, and this is going to be in that little scored area. And then on the other side, there it is. And then we've got our 3" by 5.5" piece. And for this one, I want to die cut the window. And so I'm using the circle from the Stylish Shapes, which are back in stock. They were out of stock for a couple months and they're back. And they are one of my favorite, most used dies. So I'm so glad they're finally, I'm so glad they're finally back again. So for this, I'm going to have the window and I want to kind of use the die as to kind of figure out where I want to go, because I need to make sure that there's room for Stampin' Dimensionals, a line of them on either side. And then I have to have room over here for the other things I'm going to stamp. So I am using the shutter as a guide so that I have enough room here, and I'm centering the circle up and down, but also to the sides. I want it to be kind of centered where the shutter pull is going to be. So I'll use something like a sticky note to hold the die in place. And then I'll send it through the die cutting machine and I'll have my circle perfectly placed where I want it to go. So we're going to do a little bit of stamping on the inside. I'm using that oyster. And originally I was going to have the oyster part be the reveal when you pull it open, but not much of the image was showing. And so I decided instead to use it on the inside. So I'm going to stamp it over here. And I chose this image because the sentiment says, "You are a pearl, rare and precious." And so I want to include that sentiment on the inside. So we have "Thank you for everything," and "You are a pearl, rare and precious" for the inside. But now we got to make that pearl stand out. And so I die cut using the little pearl, the little circle die in the set. I die cut from this designer paper, one of these pearlescent shells. I just die cut a pearl from that. So I'm just going to use a little adhesive to add that over the top of the stamped image. So it says, "You are a pearl, rare and precious."
Aw.
I know, I love this. And then I'm going to use, I'm so bad about using the edges, the edges of my Stampin' Dimensionals. Like I always use the insides and I don't throw them away, but I'm just bad about using them. And so this week I was taking and I was cutting all of my leftover sheets and cutting the pieces. So this is perfect for these skinny little pieces from the edges. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to use them here on the inside, and I'm going to use them on each edge. And I'm using the straight edge toward the inside of the card so that if the shutter is right up next to it, that it doesn't have any kind of it's not catching on the ridges. So straight edges toward the inside of the card.
And if you don't have any of those, we always have the adhesive strips.
Yes, well, I think you want a little room in here so that the shutters can move. But if you have Stampin' Dimensionals, you can just cut the edges off. That's exactly what I'm using. Okay, so this is going to go on the inside of the card. centered right in the center panel. So this is just going to go right in the middle like that. Okay, so our gatefold closes and covers it up. And when you open it, you will see this the shutters. Okay, so the shutters are going to go in here, but before we do that, the image that it's going to reveal, I decided just to use a piece of the designer paper. So I tried to cut one that had several different color shells, and this is going to go right in the center. I used the same die to die cut the paper so that it will fit perfectly inside that circle. So I'm just going to put some regular adhesive on it and glue it down, and then it's glued to the back of the card, and our shutters still will fit on the top and bottom. So we'll start with one, and we're going to fold that kind of back, take the tear and tape off, and we're going to slide it underneath so that it's covering the designer paper. Then we're going to kind of get it where we want it to be, sort of we want to recenter. We centered first the die, and now we want to kind of center that panel behind the die so it's still in the center. And once you have it where you want it to go, you're going to bring the cardstock just inside the fold line, and then you're going to close the card so that that tear and tape adhesive sticks to
Nice.
the inside flap. So you kind of see like it sticks there. So when the card is closed, it lays flat, and when it is opened, it pulls that shutter up. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side with the other piece. And for the second piece, you want to make sure that it is either all underneath or all on top of the first piece, because if you have any kind of interlocking where half is on top and half is on the bottom, the card won't close all the way and you'll run into some problems. So for this one, I'm just going to go all underneath, and I'm going to line it up on the other side. You want to keep an eye on these little pieces here. Make sure that your shutter is lined up and centered underneath the other one. So I'm looking at these edges here on the side. And once you have it where you want it to go, you're going to do the same thing where you just close, put it right up to that fold, and you close it, and it adheres to the bottom. So now when you open up, you can see that shutter closing, and when you open it, it opens up to reveal that image of the
Oh,
shells underneath.
nice.
You are a pearl, rare and precious, and those other shells are it's nothing. All right, we're going to add that piece on the front of the card. I'm using some tear and tape because it's a little extra heavy, and I want to make sure that it's not going to pull off the card at all. Whenever you have like extra layers and movement and stuff, it's always good to use some heavy duty adhesive. So that's just only going on the top because the bottom needs to be able to open and move. And I'm just going to center this right in the middle of the gatefold card using some firm pressure. Oh, you know what? I was thinking I wanted to add some linen thread or something. I think you totally could. I feel like linen thread is such a nautical kind of embellishment. So you could add linen thread or other embellishments there. But here is my gatefold shutter card.
Beautiful.
Thank
Absolutely
you.
lovely.
Well, let's turn the camera around and we'll show off our projects together. Oh my gosh, I love the By the Bay suite, and I hope that if you do too, that the cards that we've shared today have inspired you to create amazing, beautiful scenes and fun folds and projects using these amazing images. I always look forward to going to the water, going to the lake, and so making these projects just makes me like want to go back. I always seek that, I think, in our vacation spots. I always love going to the beach and the water and that kind of thing. So this is making me want a vacation.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I've always loved our homes that were on the water, like Muskegon and
Mhm.
St. Joe. I just loved being that close.
Yes. Well, it's because you live so close to the lighthouse and the beach in St. Joe that I think I grew to love it even more. And that is where Jim proposed, at the lighthouse in St. Joseph, Michigan at sunset. And so I guess that's why I've always had a thing for
Oh,
sunsets and beaches. And but I have fond
matter of
memories.
fact,
And
Julie's grandmother painted the lighthouse as a
yes.
wedding gift for them, which hangs in their home. So it's
Oh my
beautiful.
gosh. I absolutely love it. I know I've shared a picture before on Facebook. I really want to just like take my computer over there and show you, but that would be a very bumpy ride over there.
It would. It would.
Noni always did the most amazing seascapes and beaches and waves, and I feel like that was her specialty. So that one is special to me because that's, where Jim proposed. But I have so much of her other artwork that I cherish so much that has to do with beaches and so I guess it's just growing up. Like I just have
Yeah.
always enjoyed. They used to live right on Grand Traverse Bay in northern Michigan, and so I
Oh,
always enjoyed being
yeah.
out there on the rocky beach and being by the water, and
Yeah.
um, so
Yeah.
many happy memories.
Yeah. Well, we as much as I would love to keep talking about your grandmother, uh we should share what we're doing next week, right?
Yes, I'm
We're
so
doing,
excited.
we're doing a stamp along, and we're using some celebration because we are coming right down to the wire of celebration almost being over. And I love giving away free stuff. So I'm kind of sad that it's ending. But there's new things coming around the corner that we're going to be just as in love with. So anyway, we wanted to share the measurements for next week. It will be also in the description. Also, I will post it. Julie will post it. So that you have time to prepare your materials if you would like to stamp along with us. So we're gonna say goodbye. We're gonna wave goodbye. I love you. And then we're going to just end with our measurements. So we'll just hang on for a minute or so you have a chance to look at them.
We are both doing a stamp along project, so we hope that you will pause the screen and take down the measurements and prepare your own materials at home so that you can stamp along with us. Both Mom and I will be using the Adorable Owls Celebration stamp set for our cards, but you can use these measurements and create a card using any stamp set you have at home, any cardstock, any designer paper, and I was just having a moment where I thought, did I print the right one? But yes. Yes, I did. So whether you're using Adorable Owls or something else, we hope that you will stamp along with us next week. So that's going to be on Sunday, February 26th for one last celebration. Hurrah! And stamp with us. And then we invite you to share the projects that you make in our Facebook group. So we hope that you'll do that. So check the video description where you can get these, and we will see you next Sunday with some fun stamp along. I just took your line. You always say the last part, Mom. So
Oh, that's okay. I mean, I think the Adorable Owls are a wonderful way to celebrate the end of celebration because they're
yeah.
so darn cute. So, okay, Julie, you ready? We can do it together. Until
Next.
next time. Now, see, I messed it up.
I just want to let you do it. I never do it with you. You just do it. I feel like I'm going to say the wrong thing.
Until next Sunday, Stamping with Susan and Julie. Have a wonderful week. We look forward to stamping with you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Mom. Love you.
Bye, sweetie. Love you.